Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today let's talk about weapon swaps. Why they're so strong, what do they do, and I will explain them as easy as possible. I understand that they are quite the confusing part up top here, but trust me, after this video, you will not just want to use it, you will feel bad if you don't use it, because there is so much power to be gained here that I was actually kind of embarrassed after finding out today just how easy it is and how long I've kind of been holding out on this. Now, on top of that explanation, I'm also gonna give you exact infos on why it's so strong on explosive shot in particular, and why I have the second crossbow back there. Also, in case you want this in written form, weapon swap mechanics, like I said, they're hard, so learning them with whatever format you want to. Captain Garbage over on Maxwell has a guide out right now. He doesn't really go over exact use cases like in this video, so you can take that away, but the mechanics are in this article. But in order to start, we need to first know what the hell weapons points actually are. So on the top of your passive tree, you have this right here: weapon set 1, weapon set 2. This refers to 1, your main hand, you can see this up here, and then 2, your offhand. What these points are for builds that have multiple elements, for example. So let's say, you can see right here, this green outline. I have lightning damage on one of my skills and fire damage on the other. Also, I only need area of effect on one of my skills. The other one is just there for single target. So I can swap them in between combat easily with these weapon swap points. And that is a huge power point for a lot of builds. You can see that there is a kind of yellowish outline for my main tree. These are allocated on both. And then green outline for my weapon swap, and this red outline for my main weapon. To give you a pinpoint example, I will now unspec these points so we can play around with them. I'm going to unspec 4 points, apply refunds. These 4 points are now up top in my skill point section. I can these now allocate, if I want to 2 different weapon sets. So let's say I want to get smoke inhalation on my fire skill, and then I want to get, I don't know, let's say 4 lightning points on my main skill with lightning, right, on my offhand. So what I have to do is, I have these 4 points open, right? You see down here, 4 points not allocated. I go to weapon set 1. Boom. It tells me allocating points for weapon set 1. I put in, I don't know, strength, doesn't matter. Boom, boom. You see this red outline here? This indicates that it's a weapon swap point. And you will see these weapon set points just went from 12 to 8. Confirm, apply points. My skill points are now gone, but I can still fill in the second ones. So whenever my first weapon is up, this will be allocated. Whenever my second weapon is up, now we have 4 points left. Allocating points for weapon set 2. And in my weapon set 2, I'm now going to put the points here. Apply points. And now you see this go down to 8. So I just converted my 4 points into flexibility points, whatever you want to call them, right? One time they're there, the other time they're there. I think you kind of get the gist. You can do this with up to 24 points. The more big brain you are, the more this will actually just be an insane revolution for build making. I'm sure in a month from now, we're going to be talking about this a lot more. Right now, everybody just kind of has to feel it out. Now, if you want to respec them again, you have to now go to Doriani, refund passives. Now you have to go to weapon set 1, respec the points in weapon set 1, apply refunds. You see I now got 4 points back, but I didn't get my main points back because I still have to reallocate them out of the weapon set 2, if you remember. So I go weapon set 2, remove these points right here, and now you can see, now I have my 4 skill points back, and I can allocate them into whatever I want. Important to note here, you cannot pass through jewel sockets. Not just you can't put in jewels, you just cannot physically. If I want to go up here, I cannot get there on my weapon swaps. It doesn't work, right? So yeah, it doesn't work. So your outline kind of has to be there. And that is why some of the trees will look a little bit freaky before you see the weapon swap. They will kind of look like, that's not the optimal pathing. And then it's like, no, now it makes sense. Now, what are some weapon swap use cases? The first one might be you actually have a blink offhand. So if I look at gems right here and I go to spirit gems, there is a very, very strong gem that's called blink. It makes your dodge roll into a blink. And it is incredibly strong. It has a very high int requirement, which can be a problem for left side builds. And it also has 60 spirit reservation. However, you can put this on your offhand, and it's only on whenever you press it, and it turns off the other stuff. But you still have to get the int with weapon swap points, let's say you only need 70 int, you can spec in all those weapon swap points. So whenever you press blink, it will allocate all those int nodes. Now, how do you allocate that stuff to begin with? So you go to G right here. Boom. So for example, here I have explosive shot on my main hand and shock burst rounds on my offhand. If you go to this, down here you will see used with weapon set. I'll put myself to the left side right here. Used with weapon set 1 and weapon set 2. Here you can decide what it's used for. Usually you have this pressed, but I only want to use it with weapon set 1 because shock burst rounds I have on weapon set 2. This is per default usually clicked, so you have to unclick it. Number 2 application people are using this for is for a shield charge offhand. So you can shield charge around even though you don't usually have a shield if you just bind it to your offhand, which just has a shield. Good thing here is also you can just put in whatever shield you want as long as it has cooldown recovery. For example, the Crest of Ardura is very, very popular here. There's also people using this with Hammer of the Gods for single target. So they basically have Hammer of the Gods on their offhand, just put all the damage they can, remove all the defenses, and just go full ham on that one blow, and then have a huge ignite swap back to a more defensive setup. There's also applications with totems and whatnot, but I want to talk about the dual crossbow tech. So the first thing you have to understand is if you have 2 crossbows, you will have 2 crossbow shots. Sounds about right, right? These are kind of like the auto attacks. But this is important because you can now abuse this to save a button. So normally you only have 1 crossbow shot. However, now what's going to happen is, you will see it in a second, I just reloaded. One of my auto attacks is on explosive shot and one is on shock burst rounds. And this is what happens. I'm not reloading right now. I'm pressing left mouse button. And now I'm pressing right mouse button. It is an absolute and utter game changer. If you've never played crossbows before, I know this might not be a big deal for you, but if you have, you know what this means. So get yourself a second crossbow. Now, what exactly would it mean to get a second crossbow? So the first crossbow would be for explosive shot. Explosive shot wants you to have loads and additional bolt. So you're fine taking a little bit of a hit in terms of damage if you have that mod on because it helps you clear quite a bit. Unless you're stacked, sure, then you're going to have both. But let's be realistic. So on your offhand though, I just have pure damage. This is actually quite a bit more damage. It's a way better base. It absolutely doesn't screw around. It also has higher attack speed. It is incredible. So this is for my single target. And I don't need loads and additional bolt because I already have 18 bolts, right? So there's no reason to get an additional bolt. As you can see right here, 18. Now, big thing to note here is don't just waste your gold. You can actually do this in the max roll planner before you go for it. So let's, for example, say you're a warrior, right? You're pathing here, yada, yada, yada. Doesn't even matter. Not good pathing. It's fine. Here, you can record 24 main hand points and 24 offhand points. So for example, let's say I go here into my main hand and I don't know. I want to take this. All right. Now it says 7 main hand points. It says 14 points consumed, right? Now I can put 7 in my offhand. So let's say I'm going for some freaky totems or whatever. I can't put that many in, but let's say I match the 7 points. Boom. No extra points. Now I have 7 points in the main tree and then 7 divided between the trees. Play around here. I know this is a little bit of a mindfuck at first. You're going to get into it. I wasted a lot of gold. It's way easier to do with the max roll tree. Plan it out before and then go for it. Now, there's a million more things you can do with weapon swap, but the TLDR for this build, for example, is that I can play a fire skill, I can play a lightning skill, and I lose no efficiency whatsoever. Just nothing. It is pure bliss, and it will make build creating even more complicated, which I'm personally looking forward to, but I'm not looking forward to making this one easier to consume for people who are not as sweaty as me. But in general, it's a lot of fun to play around with, and it's gonna keep me up at night. But yeah, hope you learned a thing or two. There's going to be absolutely crazy weapon swap setups. Especially, do not forget that on Mercenary, you can actually go Witch Hunter. And now that I know how strong weapon swaps are, oh boy, you get 4 here, 20 here. You can get another 24 weapon points. So in general, the world is your oyster. Go out, test stuff. It's going to be exciting for crossbows. Right now, I have an outline, right? My planner is down below, but I'm sure it will change a few times again. As for my full build guide, that's going to be out tomorrow. I'm right now writing the rest of it and kind of putting the finishing touches. Tomorrow, there's going to be the max roll guide out. And as well as that, there's going to be the full build guide for the explosive shot. If it's already out, I'm going to link it down below in the description or in the top pinned comment. And other than that, since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.